各位亲爱的网友朋友，大家好。
Hello, good order netizens.
今天呢，我们讲一个是特别奇特的一个话题。
Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic,
特别喜欢的一个话题啊。
something that interests a lot of you.
想投资赚钱，投资
Many of you want to invest and make money.
大家来之后说想直接去学几招。
So some of you want to learn a few tips from me.
发财不是一件简单的事
It
情，
is not easy to get rich.
也不是一件简单的事
It
情。
is not easy to make a
让
living.
自己生活下去。那发财呢，就比生活下去更
So to
饱满一
gain
些
wealth,
就吃得更好，用得更好，
to
做
have
得更
better
好，
life,
穿得更好，
to have
是这
better
样
living,
那都是
to
不
wear
容易的。
better clothes.
你看这个地球上就这么大哈，地球
So the
不会长
world
大
is of this
可
size,
是呢，人口越来越多，
but our human
所以
population
呢
is increasing.
众人来抢饭，
So everyone is fighting for resources.
它并不是有这么多食物等着你随便拿就好哈。
It's not as if we have ample food.
而且
We
人
need
越
to
多
use money
就
to
越来越
trade,
贵
to buy food,
那
to
么
buy
这个职
products.
位呢，有很多人来抢着去来做。
And there'll be many
竞争力就
positions
提
that
升
people
了
are rushing
所以
for.
我们想赚钱谋生啊，其实不容易。
So in order to make a living, it is not
我再
something
讲
that's
一下
very
呢，就是我
simple.
所认识的，就是赚钱的途径。
So let me tell you
大
about,
约
share about
有3
methods
到
of
4种的
making a
方法。
living. There's
那么
around
第
3
一
to
大
4
类呢，就是
methods.
打工。
The first method
自
is
己老
to
板
work
自己
for
公
other
司人
people.
家招聘员工，
You
那
work
么
as
就
an
是你会
employee.
干这个。假设你是建筑工人，
For example, you're a
建筑公司
construction
正好招
worker.
你这类员工，
When you
你
see
这
that they are
工资还
employing
很不
people in
错，
the construction
正好我也
company,
会，我也够这个
you have
级
the
别
right
哎我就去
skills,
干了。
and you
不
will
是
go
省
and
心的，
employ,
就
and
是
you go
干
and
活拿钱。
go for the interview.
完了之后一下班之后呢，就是抹屁股走人。
So every day after work, you will go
等着
off
发钱。
and wait for
这个
the
好处是不用
monthly
担心受
salary.
怕，不用说像那我的股票
So you do not be fearful because it's not like you're invested in stocks. You're worried about your stocks going up and
让
down.
他下班走人啊，特别省
Every
事儿。
day, you just knock
但
off
是你必
after
须付
work,
出体力劳动或者脑力劳动，
but you have to use your hard
这是
labor.
第一种谋生手段。
So this is the
不管
first
给谁
method of
雇佣
making a
你
living.
都属于打工族。
So you work for people.
那么第二种呢，
So the
就是
second
我
one
说的是差不多叫创业型，
is people who start their own business.
又有这个事业的这么一个创造。我假设说，我开个小餐馆儿，
For example, I start my own restaurant.
我就是会
I may be a
炒
chef myself
菜
and I know how to
炒菜炒
cook,
得特别好，
and I cook
但是
very
我不
well,
想去给人打工了，
but I do not want to work for people anymore. I want to become my own
我
boss.
在机构之中给人做饭在厨房。
So I start my own business in
啊
food
我
and
自己伺候
beverage
自
in
己
a restaurant.
这里是问题又来了哈，这我把它列为叫创业投资。
So
投资
these
创
are
业
self-employed.
它里头有花钱的部分，那花什么钱呢？
There'll be an element that you have to
开餐
spend
馆
your
的
own
话
money. You have the
通常就
cost,
是你看房租
your capital, you have your
房子租
rental,
了啊。那么第二个呢，装潢，
and you have to do the renovations for your own restaurant.
啊，那
And
些
you have to
机
get the
械那些锅碗
equipment.
瓢盆呐，那些炉子呀，是吧？
You need to
这
get
些
your
菜
own
都买
wok,
了
the
这些都是
utensils.
设备啊，乍一听不贵，其实挺贵的哈。
You may think that it's not
那么再接着
expensive,
就
but
是
if you
人
really look at the cost, it's actually not cheap either.
是吧？一个能盛下20人餐馆的话，我
For a
相信这个
restaurant
餐
that
馆
can
的
seat the
员工
capacity of
不
around
会少于
20
6名
people,
啊，再小的餐馆不会少于6名，否则忙不
you
过
need
来。
at least 6 staff.
那你雇人就得花钱，对不对？
So when you
这
employ
几项的
people, you
费
need to
用必须
pay
要
for
去付
overheads as well.
是吧？所以这就是又有投资花钱。
So
但是
there's the elements
但
of
是可真正
spending
做
and
投资来说
making
的话呢
paying your
这个
capital,
其实你主要还投入的是你的技术，
and you have to
或者是你的
invest
能
in
力
your own skills.
那有人说我不用去动手干活儿，我就是只管卖东西。
So some people may say that I do not want to work, I just want to start the business,
对不对？
I just
那也
open
有
a stall.
租金、装潢，
But even in the shopping mall, you have to pay for
还
renovations,
有进
you have
货
to
的
pay
成
for
本，
your rental
这些流动
cost,
资
you have
金
to
要
pay
很
for
大
your
哎
products
这都是
cost.
钱呢所以你投
All
入
this
的
will cost
钱
money.
但是你可能擅长的是什么呢？销售，
But you may be
业务
very
销
good
售
in
的通
sales,
道，认识人多，
and you
而且
have
能说
very
会
good
道，特别会卖东
connections.
西。哎，这也是一技之长。
So
对
this
吧
is also
有很多
something
会
that
计
you are
师内向的人，
equipped
就
with.
买着好货不会卖。
There are some
那
people
特
who are
别是卖货
unable
的
to
人把烂
sell,
白菜卖的比好白菜还贵，哎，但是能卖出去。
and others who can sell a very bad product easily.
这是他的个人能力。
So this is based on individual
所以你不管是自己
capacity,
开个店
capabilities.
开个摊位啊，你生意干的大小，都一定有钱财投入
So in every shop that you open, there will be skills involved that you have to engage people to help in manpower and cost involved and management in managing the business. So this is the second type. So the third type is the real investor. So the real idea of investment is to use your money to make money for you. So some people, when they open a restaurant, over 10 years, the restaurants get bigger and bigger in size. Some people, after they open a restaurant for 10 years, the capacity increases to 300 people, but the cost has increased, the rental has increased, and they may want to open a second outlet again, but he realized the capital is not enough. So he looks for people, for investors, to invest in this restaurant. So for an investor, if they put in $1 million, they may take a certain percentage of the shares. So for a first person who frequents the restaurant, he knows that the business of the restaurant is good, the food is good, the management is good, and he's confident that the owner is able to run the business, and he knows that he's trustworthy. So he decides to invest in this restaurant, thinking that the boss will not cheat on him. Anyway, I'm not good at managing it. I'm retired, and I will not be working there. I just lend him his money so that I earn some shares of the restaurant, so that at the end of the year, when they make profit and they distribute the profits to me. So just the dividends itself is 180,000. It is higher interest than any of the banks. It's much higher returns. Do remember that for this investment, you have only invested in money. You have not invested or provided ideas, service, time. But at the end of the year, you receive the dividends from the business, from the profits. So this is known as an investment, meaning you use your money to generate more money for you. Or for example, you invest in a franchise, like McDonald's. Or example, like Coca-Cola. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not trying to advertise for them. So Coca-Cola has got shares. It's probably more of a stable stock. So you can just buy the stock counters, and you do not have to worry about the managing of the business. So do I have an annual meeting with the directors to manage the company? So you buy the stocks. So when they make money, you just get the dividends. So of course, there's also trust, stocks, options, or real estate, property. There's all the types of investments. As long as you are using money to generate money without using your own effort, time, this is known as real investment. Master has helped to show the difference in the different type of investments. Although not all investments are scams, but there's risk in every investment that people make. Risk and scam are two different issues. Just like opening of a restaurant, I'm very confident about the person or how he runs the business, but sometimes it's just like, like COVID happened, so business is affected. Or there are times that people meet lawsuits because of disputes as well, or the landlord has some issues. Anything can happen. So there's always risk in investment. So there are some people who scam others, who cheat on others. But for investment, they try to cheat bigger sums of money. Normally, you have a bigger sum of investment. They do not cheat on small amount of money. So just now, Master has mentioned about investing in restaurants. So every year, there's a reasonable dividend return at the end of the years. So this is considered as a healthy investment. But not every investment is so positive. So next, we are going to invite our online friends to share with us what are the investments that are very risky. So these are real cases. So that from these stories, everyone can learn from it. This is something we saw from the news. The family of 3 who committed suicide because they have lost money in the Bitcoin speculation. 3 members of the family committed suicide by jumping into the sea after losing 20 million in Bitcoin speculation. On June 18, 2020, a tragedy occurred in Xinghai Bay Bridge in Dalian, China. A family of 3 fell into the sea from the bridge. The couple invested in Bitcoin and decided to commit suicide together with their 3-year-old daughter after the investment failed. After graduating from university, the father, Lao Zhen, has been playing in the financial market. Bitcoin was his main investment project. He has made a lot of money and is worth almost tens of thousands of millions. Lao Zhen's family, the wife has also quit her job to become a full-time stay-at-home wife. The family relied on Lao Zhen's Bitcoin hype to make ends meet. Seeing the skyrocketing price of Bitcoin, the proud Lao Zhen began to raise money everywhere, increasing the leverage to participate in the hype, and had $3 million worth of Bitcoin at its high. In February 19, 2020, Bitcoin futures prices rose to a peak of 10,000, but unexpectedly within a month, Bitcoin plummeted, leaving less than half of it. And Lao Zhen was constantly being increasing leverage and hype. He lost more than 20 million all at once. Among the money, there were 4 million from his parents, 500,000 from his in-laws, and the rest are years of savings and money borrowed from relatives. Suddenly, all his family property was lost, and he owed a lot of money in debts to his relatives and friends. Lao Zhen planned to commit suicide. At first, he only planned to die by himself, but later, his wife found out and the two decided to go together, thinking the child will be very lonely if left alone in the world, so it's better to take her away too. So he decided to kill his own daughter first, and then commit suicide by jumping into the sea together. On June 17, after Lao Zhen brought some sleeping pills at a pharmacy, his wife fed it to the daughter. Looking at the sleeping daughter, Lao Zhen tried several ways but was unable to kill her. In the end, he severed her arteries. Seeing her daughter, blood flowing out continuously, Lao Zhen was almost in a state of madness and finally turned into a demon. After the child died of anger, the two wrapped the daughter's body into the bedsheet, and the 3 of them went to Xinghai Bay Bridge. After throwing the daughter's body off the bridge, the couple also jumped into the sea. As a result, the wife died in the spot, and the husband hit the bridge pier, fractured his whole body, but survived unexpectedly. Later, Lao Zhen was accused of homicide. During the trial, Lao Zhen confessed to the crime of killing his daughter and said his wife committed suicide because of him and hoped the court would judge him severely. So whatever punishment he received, nothing can bring back his daughter's life again. He did not manage to die, and yet he has to suffer. It's from his investment that he paid the price of the lives of his wife and his daughter.
加大杠杆是什么意思？
就是说，本来我有100块钱哈，那我投了100块钱，就把老本全投进去了。加大杠杆就是说，我又借钱。
Some people, they like to leverage.
我再借100，我用200当我的本钱往里去投。
Instead of using the $100 that they have, they borrow another $100 to invest. So they hope that by doing this, they will earn more. This is to use leverage
我们有100万，对不对？
and borrowing.
我买200万块钱的，让他一升的话，我就多赚了嘛。结果呢？
赔了，
没升起来。
对。
But when the prices turn the other way around, they lose double.
他也有挣钱的时候，当时账面资产也是很高了。
对。
At his peak, he has actually owned a lot of money.
他买到这么多的时候，我想他曾经最辉煌的时候，可能。 他的资金也到了1500万了。
有，他有300万。
At his peak, he has more than $10 million.
差不多有2400万。
2000多。
2000多万，对。可是，一赔呢，他结果就。
可是一般我们都是这样的形态哈，
But normally for us,
也很类似。当它涨的时候呢，我们都舍不得。
When prices goes up, we don't sell it because we all hope that it will go up more. Hoping that we will earn more. Normally when the price goes up, most of the time we do not sell it. But when prices comes down, even if you want to sell it, no one wants to buy it. So that's when we all get stuck in this situation.
我记得我读这个文章的时候，它后头还有一段，他这个不就等于是在庭审了嘛？他自己也供认不讳哈，眼睁睁的受这个罪。结果2个月之后，这个比特币又涨回来了，又翻了1倍。
After 2 months later, Bitcoin actually went up again.
可是他都连家人的性命都。
But his family has already died.
他还犯了杀人罪。
没错。
And he's accused of homicide.
真是白白搭上了这个小女儿的命啊！
你想，咱们去投资啊。 无非就像咱们今天说话的开头嘛，就是为了有一个
投资为了啥
？Why do we invest?
就是为了一个生存嘛。
We invest for survival,
生存的好一点
so that we can live a better life.
当这个起落波动的时候，我们的大脑受不了之后，家破人亡。
But due to the fluctuations, we are able to take it, which caused the family to die.
早期的弟子哈。
I had an earlier disciple.
他在中国拜的师呢，就是我们也没办法规范那么多对弟子的要求。到了国外要求有时候弟子也做不到。那么他呢，专业炒股。
I have a disciple who used to be a professional trader.
他说炒股到了加拿大来，他说已经炒了差不多17年。
So when he came to Canada, he was already speculating stocks or trading stocks for 17 years.
有一天他的股票涨了之后呢。
So one day when his stocks went up, he was very happy and he said he wanted to treat me for a meal. So but the stocks went down, he couldn't find anyone. So whenever I can't contact him anymore, I knew that he was having problems with his stock market. So when the prices was up, it was up 25%, but he couldn't bear to sell it, so he treated us for McDonald's. He said that he thinks that it will go up another 75%, but it went down the next day after. So he wanted to write a book. He wanted to teach people how to invest in stocks. He said, if everyone were to follow you, we will all be worried. But Master, at least that disciple is still alive. But for this family, it's tragic because But for my disciple, although he's only 30 years old, his hair was white. He buys trade stocks in Canada and he trades stocks in China. So due to the different time zone, he's always watching the computer screen. Waiting for 5 minutes, hopefully the prices goes up. He was always waiting. So the whole night he couldn't sleep. That's why he aged much faster. So he doesn't work. He just speculates in stocks and he just trades in stocks. So some people who are traders, you never see that they make a fortune the whole life.
好玩哈。
是，所以我们要从这个例子中学到哈，对，因为炒股票不是炒股票，就投资就是为了我们生活更好。
So we know that investment is to try to make our life better. But as a result, if you lose your family because of that or face a tragedy, no matter what, it's not worth it to waste a life. He actually loaned money, he leveraged in order to speculate. So we have another Dharma sister who rented from loan debtors, debt collectors, to invest. Hello, Master. I'm Yu Xin. I'm from Singapore. 10 years ago, I owe more than 300,000 of high-interest loan because of my greedy investment in virtual currency. By the time I realized it was a scam, it was too late. More than 300,000 of usury loans. The monthly interest itself was $6,000. Last year, 60,000 was paid in pure interest. Every month, I have to find a high-interest usury loan to repay the interest. In this way, the high-interest usury loan will continue to be in high-interest loan. And the next year, our loan principal and interest will reach more than 400,000. My husband is just a construction worker and only earns about 30,000 to 50,000 a year. And I still have to provide for my 3 children for their studies and support my parents, mother-in-law, and father-in-law. The heavy, high-interest loan made me so depressed that I couldn't sleep. My whole soul and body trembled all the time, fearing that one day I would be beaten to death by my creditors. And I couldn't run away because I still have my family members. I didn't tell anyone of the situation, not even my husband. No one can understand my depression now. And this year is the year of my birth sign. I have elders and younger children and I cannot die. I beg Master to tell me what I should do. Thanks, Master. So there are people who really go for debt loan sharks or take out usury loans, which are high-interest loans. So of course, if she made money, she don't have to worry. But the problem is that right now, she's losing money and the interest rose. And debt collectors will come up to collect the debts. In Singapore, in Malaysia, when debt collectors come, they are very fierce. Sometimes they even take lives. So in order to repay the loan, she goes to another debt collector. So the interest just rolls. And the amount that she owes also keep rolling up higher. So she was pushing herself to the end road. But at least for this Dharma sister, she knows that she cannot die because she has got older folks to take care of and younger children. She has to be around, she has to be alive for them. But she's now stuck in a situation. Her husband is a construction worker, and every year only making up to 50,000 and he gives it to the family. And this money itself is not even enough to repay the interest from the debts.
太大了吧，真的是。
关键他投资的内容也很有意思哈。
虚拟货币。
She invested in virtual currency.
咱们第一个故事呢
Like the first story that we had, it was
比特
Bitcoin.
币也属于虚拟货币。
Bitcoin is also a type of virtual currency.
不记名的哈，而且呢没有国界的。
So it's without
虚拟
borders,
货币的概念哈，我给大家
without
说几句
boundaries.
可以补充哈。我们所有的货币，大家花的钱哈。
For all the currency,
是某国某国的印制，对不对？
is issued by each of the country. For example, in China, it's issued by the bank.
新加坡呢
In
新加
Singapore,
坡国家总行发行
it is
的
issued by the MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore.
它才有了货币的价值。
So that gives the value to the
美
currency.
国中央银行发行的这个钱，
So in China, in America, they have the central bank that issues the currency.
来流通，政府认可嘛哈。但是你这个钱你记得吗？你拿着一个不同国家的钱，换了国家之后，其实这个钱不好用。最好找那个兑换所兑换了。
So normally we need to exchange to the different currency as we go to different countries to use it. For example, when we go to Malaysia, we need to change it to ringgit,
并不能接受其他国家的
as
钱。
other currency is not
但是
accepted.
呢，这个虚拟货币呢，还有比特币呢，
But for
它没
virtual
有是一个
currency,
发行国，
they do not have an issuing country.
是网络上的。
它是网络上的。
It is virtual.
最后大家认可的时候，它就产生了价值。
And when people recognize it, that's when the value comes.
我说的还不内行，大概我问过，大概是这个意思。
是。
就它没有了国家的界限。
So there's no, it's not bounded by the country borders.
查不到你那个税，可能就是。
So there's no tax as well.
啊？
有些政府也不认。
But there are some government that doesn't
是吧？
doesn't approve of
只
it.
要政府你这个国家政府没有说不承认它的时候，就等于说你网络交易，反正你们自己认为它有价值就是有价值了。
As long as a country doesn't officially disapprove of it, so people who trade it online will recognize it as a currency.
但是当很多人认为是的时候，它就有价值。
When people recognize
比特
it,
币也一路哈，
that's when the value of it goes
上
up.
万倍的这个起伏跌宕。
That's why it is very highly
你比如说
speculative.
你存了1万块钱吧，等它往下跌的时候，成了10块钱的时
For
候，
example, you have $10,000. When it drops,
但是
it
10块
becomes
钱变成1万块钱，你
$10.
高兴的要死。
But when it from $10, it goes up to $10,000, you'll be so happy.
所以呢，一般人不能做这种虚拟货币的
So most people
这种投资。
cannot invest in virtual currency because we are not aware. It's not something that we know. We do not understand this investment.
但是我觉得这个雨欣呐，我觉得他不懂当时。
对。
I'm sure that Yu Xin didn't know much about virtual currency at the point when she invested in it.
所以才借了高利贷。
That's why she lent money from the collectors, the debt collectors.
炒虚拟货币哈，我就觉得是一个玩笑哈。
所以雨欣，其实你不是来投资的，你是来赌博的。
So investing in something you don't know about, like virtual currencies, it is actually not advisable because you do not understand what is virtual currency and you probably get cheated. So never invest in something that you don't understand.
是，当然雨欣，我们现在听到你的这个处境哈，还是非常同情的。是，真的是你。
But we do sympathize your situation.
确实不容易，
就是他问我该怎么办是吧？
对，
对，就是细想从借钱投资这个事儿，他已经也无处可借了哈。
Actually, you have no more place to lend money from. You're already lending from the high interest loans, from debt collectors, from
对，他有这样的一个威胁。
不仅威胁你，还威胁你家人。
是，
我想不出更好的方法来，但是我说的都是一些比较老实的方法。我认为呢，比如说，她是女生嘛哈，就力所能及的看看在合法的工作中找一种比较收入高的。
One way is to go out to earn money, to work.
比如我想到就是月嫂，
住家保姆，
女士嘛。
You probably can go to find a job with more stability, such as being a live-in nanny. So you have 3 kids on your own, so you probably are very good at taking care of children.
你们还能想到什么？
还能
反正我感觉哈，师姐表达的时候，确实我能感觉可能也不是 受过非常多的教育，或者可能也不是有很多工作经验的感觉哈。
I do not feel that she's probably very experienced in work or very highly educated.
尽量的做一些就是还是容易入手的。
So probably what she can do is that she can do a job that's simpler.
可能女同志出去做个什么住家的保姆啊
or live-in nanny.
反正就力所能及的。现在都不是你挑工作的时候。
It's not a time that you choose the job that you want.
现在能够入市场，还能够找到一个工作，能挣点钱，就是
It's best to find a job,
你就自己
whichever
拼了命去做了。
whichever job that's available.
还有一种你说保姆哈，还有一种就是住家保姆。
There's another type which is a live-in nanny to take care of older folks or younger children.
一家人又忙，但是呢，这家里呢钱也挺多的哈，挺富有的，他就希望有。
So there are people who are very wealthy families who like to get a live-in nanny to help to take care of the older folks they have or your younger children. So she may be suitable for this career, for this job, to help to bring some money home for the family.
对了，
对，
是。
比如说给你5000吧，就纯拿5000回家。
就好好存着哈。
对呀。
赶紧攒。
And use your money wisely, whatever you earn.
别的工作呢，比如说给你5000吧哈。
There are other jobs.
是你那个坐车吃饭。
Example, they pay you $5,000, but you still have to
能剩下3000就。
pay for rent or pay for transportation. The cost adds up to be quite high, so you may not be able to get such a high ticket money.
来
慢慢还。
尽量快速的还人家这个债。
对。
So you have to quickly earn the money and pay off your debts.
还的当然还清了就了了。你要越办的话，它这个利息就不断的往上。
Otherwise, the interest will accumulate.
对，然后雨欣师姐呢，她
And compound.
她是当时投这个所谓投资了的时候呢，她心中其实也是不是那么踏实的。 所以她都没敢告诉家人，尤其都没有敢告诉她老公。
告诉家人。
对，所以她
And before that, she was very worried. She didn't dare to tell anyone about her debts. All the family members didn't know about it. So one way that she can do is probably she can confess, repent, and seek help with relatives and friends.
真的会崩溃。
但是觉真的意思呢？
我的意思，因为家人呢，就是。
Family members will be very upset when they know about it and they'll probably scold you. But after all, family members are family members and they are not loan sharks. So they will still help you in situations like this. So be open, be frank, and confess to them. She can even go to a few of the relatives and tell them about it and seek their help to borrow some money from them to clear off the loan sharks first, to clear off the debts first. And with that, she can slowly work and pay back to the family members and seek for their forgiveness. Because ultimately, the family members do not have such a high interest as compared to the loan sharks. I would like to advise her. I think that's a good suggestion.
这个提议挺好哈。
试试看吧，雨欣师姐。
哎呀，真是就是也是挺苦的。这个雨欣师姐，我们都理解你啊。
We can understand.
一定现在你还挺坚强，还扛着呢这也是好。
That you are very strong. You are still holding on to it. But what solution is there? You have to increase the income. Your kids are now grown up and you can go out to work. And also try to ask your relatives and friends for help to pay off the loan sharks first. And after that, slowly pay off the relatives and friends.
我们比如说一开始我讲的，我开个餐馆吧。 听起来是一个很平常的一个投资嘛。
So for example, if we open a restaurant, it looks like a very simple investment. You may have the skill. Okay, you may be a chef. So you have the experience and skills. But you have to come up with the capital. And you loan the capital from other people. For example, you need around 200,000 as opening capital. For the renovations, for the overheads, for the startup costs.
还有100万作为这个灵活应用的。
another 100,000 for cash flow. If let's say the 200,000 has been borrowed, would there be interest when you borrow this money? Is there a payment date that you have to pay it by, a certain date? There are two things you have to be very careful whenever you borrow money, which is how much are you going to borrow and what's the payment terms. So you'll be stressed with the time that you have to repay and also the interest costs. So for example, you open the restaurant for 3 years and you didn't make money, so you lose 200,000. Then you'll be in deep trouble. Because by then, 200,000 will no longer be 200,000. You'll be 250,000 at least, due to the interest. And creditors are like this. When you are making money, they do not ask you to repay them. In fact, they may even offer you more money. But when they see that your business is not doing well, they will come and collect the money from you. So when you're doing very well, people are all out to lend you more money. But when you are down and out, they will all be taking back the money from you. So when you are down, the more unlucky things follows. So do not borrow money to invest, especially loan sharks or usury high interest rate loans, especially in something that you do not even know. Do not borrow high interest loans to invest. It's a fatal mistake.
虚拟货币没听见那个虚字儿，
我说实在话，叫我就是生了气了，我都想不到去买个虚拟货币来出气啊。
他肯定受人家的那个撺掇那个。
可以说遇上坏人了。
对。
She probably met someone who was not very good, who introduced her to virtual currency.
对，所以这里我再提醒大家呢。
Let me remind you.
我都是老套哈，我这些
I'm very old school.
别做。就是从做工作再做生意哈，别做你不懂的事儿。
Whichever business or investments you want to make, do not go into investments that you are not familiar with, or business that you're not familiar with.
打听一下，市政府打听一下，今天开着200家，但是今天
You can find out among the 200 businesses that are open every day.
是吧？你以为都挣钱
Do you think all of them will make money? Some of them cannot even get back the renovation costs that they have put in. It is not easy. Even if you are a chef and you work for other people, you earn salary. But for the boss, he may not make money because he has got other costs and overheads. In fact, he may be even making losses. So regardless, it's because you are too greedy, that you are obsessed with getting rich.
就是你不懂得，你要去尤其投了钱进去的时候，几乎形同于跳井。就是千万记住这句话哈。因为你来听我的讲的东西，我说的，我也不是真实在人，我尽量往最实在里说。听我的安全。
Okay, listen to me, and it's safe. You may not. It's a safer route.
就实实在在告诉你。
对。那雨欣这个网友也是求助的哈，听了师傅讲的，我希望雨欣你真的能够记住，然后赶紧。
I hope Yuxin you can remember.
那我也请师傅，要不咱送他个小礼物，加持他一下。
And Master, maybe we can give her a little gift to bless her, so that she'll not be so unlucky anymore.
收到，哎呀。
送他一个天珠吧。
Let's give her
希望你时来运转，
a zibit.
如意吉祥。
So may she be blessed with auspiciousness, good health, wealth.
这个太重要了，那听了他这个哈，你看我们还有一个来自新加坡的一个网友。After
this, we have another
听一下。师傅好，
friend from Singapore. Hello, Master. I'm coconut milk tea from Singapore. I'm 48 years old this year. When I was young, I loved to have fun. I would go to nightclubs, sing karaoke, drink, smoke, and dance with my friends, at least 3 times a week. At the age of 24, I was surrounded by a lot of wealthy friends who wore designer goods and spent at least $10,000 a month. I interact with them every day and slowly became influenced by them. I began to pursue designer clothes and bags and would not hesitate to buy items from luxury brands such as LV, Chanel, and Gucci. I was also eager to have my own luxury car and mansion in the future. In order to achieve this goal, I began to have a strong interest in stock trading, thinking that is the method to help me to get a lot of money. I started taking classes in stock investing and doing a lot of research. In the initial stage, I only bought 10 micro lots. 1 micro lot is equal to 1,000 currency units, and I could earn an average profit of $300,000 to $400,000 a month. In fact, that was not too much because my friends around me buy at least 30 micro lots. During this period of time, I don't have a job and I only relied on profits from stock speculation to maintain my living expenses. In 1999, a friend introduced me to a very potential investment opportunity. He said the internet industry was booming and it would become the main engine of future economic growth. If you invest in it, you will definitely make a lot of money. I was moved, so I increased the number of micro stocks that I bought from 10 lots to 30 lots. And sure enough, the prices of many internet stocks rose rapidly, bringing huge profits to many investors. I watched the funds pouring in continuously, and my greed began to expand. I couldn't help but increase the purchase volume from 30 lots to 40 lots, 50 lots, and even 70 lots at the highest time, nearly $700,000 to $800,000. During these months, in addition to continuing buying designer items, I also bought a Mercedes-Benz and a house, and I enjoyed the soaring stock prices and the growth of wealth every day. In the year 2000, however, the dot-com burst and put an end to the boom period. Many investors were too enthusiastic about the internet industry, investing a lot of money in high-risk internet stocks. By ignoring the profitability of those companies and the sustainability of their business models, and this has led to the overvaluation of stocks in the market, which is far from the actual fundamentals. In the end, many companies failed to achieve profitability, and the stock prices collapsed, causing investors to suffer huge losses. As an investor, the world has undergone tremendous changes in an instant. At that moment, I lost $400,000 overnight. Fear and confusion overwhelmed me as I didn't know how to repay this huge debt. I was so depressed that I couldn't sleep at night, and I was constantly drinking and smoking to get rid of my depression. During the day, I closed myself to the room and lay on the bed all day like a disabled person, full of confusion and helplessness about the future. After a few weeks, I decided to get back on my feet, and I made a difficult decision to sell my beloved motorcycle. My mother saw the pain and stress in my heart, and she also gave me some money. That was enough to pay off half of my $400,000 debt. I found a job in food and beverage management and had to work night shift at a 7-Eleven convenience store from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I slept less than 3 hours a night. Fortunately, I was young at that time, and I was able to barely get through the difficult time. I worked day and night after night. I finally paid off the entire debt in 2 years. After going through this incident, I deeply experienced the feeling of being burned. Looking back at the beginning, the reason why I suffered misfortune was because of greed, and since then I've never traded in stocks again. The lessons learned that time changed my outlook on life. I paid more attention to financial planning and management, and I learned how to increase wealth steadily. In the past, I chased famous brands and material comforts, but those were short-lived happiness. And now I'm learning from Master and paying more attention to inner peace and a healthy lifestyle. Thanks, Master. So in the past, she actually made a lot of money, bought a car, and bought a house, but the dot-com bubble burst. and she became in debt and lost $400,000. In order to repay this, she also went through a hard time. She worked very hard, she slog very hard day after day, night after night. I think it's a case that we can learn from. So she realized her mistake, and she, through her own effort, she worked very hard. Of course, her mother also helped her, but she sold off her assets in order to repay the debts. She was very sincere and very hardworking to pay off the debts that she owed. It's still a positive. So the change was actually very good. She didn't think on the negative side. She was very positive. And she, from then on, did not dare to trade stocks again. Initially, she enjoyed making lots of money from trading, stock trading. For Singaporeans, that's very exciting. People do not know that actually in Singapore, if you want to buy a car, like a Japanese brand, like Toyota, like a normal Toyota car, that could cost 30,000 in America. But guess how much is it in Singapore? It's more than $100,000. Because we have this certificate of entitlement. So for example, in Singapore, they only allow 15,000 cars. So only when someone scraped the car that they get this road license to be back into the market. Singapore does not produce any cars, so the tax is very high. So if you are able to afford a German car, it could be around 250,000 to 300,000 in Singapore. So for coconut milk, now she's leading a down-to-earth life, and she doesn't make random investments or trades anymore, stock trades anymore. So coconut milk is able to realize a mistake very fast, and she was very sharp to turn. So from then on, she doesn't dare to trade stocks anymore, to speculate in stocks. So when the stock market crashed, like if you do a stock loss, you cut your stocks, then you repay your debts. This is a wisdom. And she did a few jobs just to repay her debts. So I think that's a very positive outcome. So she was not waiting for like people to come and help her. So it's a lesson that she will learn forever, the painful lesson. So with her hard work, she worked very hard, with her effort, she made back the money to repay off the debts in 2 years. So I think that one doesn't have to be very wealthy, very rich, but as long as you work hard, your family is able to have a good life, a peaceful life. Is something very good. So let's give her an item, a blessed item. So let's give her one of the new 八卦 shirt. This is very youthful looking, very beautiful, very clean look. So coconut milk, do find some time to practice Bagua, so you will be healthier and happier. So those three that we mentioned, they are not employed. They were not working for people. They were all doing like trading full time. So you can see that actually the risk is very high. So do we have the impression that if you have a job, a full-time job, and you do investment, will it be a better option? So let's listen to the next case. So this Xiao Juan. Hello, Master. I'm Xiao Juan. My husband and I have been married for 14 years. After we got married, he went into the zinc oxide business. He did earn some money and we bought a house and car with a loan. However, this industry is completely dependent on market prices and the ceramics industry is not very prosperous. My husband always thinks that it is a sunset industry and always wants to change career. At the beginning of this year, I invested in the mold factory of a friend in the same village. Because we are not familiar with that person or the industry, I disagreed initially. But my husband thinks that we should develop it. He felt that he was a friend in the same village and he could control the investment. So he insisted on doing this. Because he is the one who earned the money, I reluctantly agreed and he invested 250,000. In early March, his former customer contacted him about producing zinc oxide, and we have made this product ourselves before, so he understands the craft. This time, the production materials provided by them are a little innovative, so the profit is huge, and my husband is tempted again. So this time he wants to invest $1 million. And I was against it again, wanting to invest less because 1 million is counting into all our belongings and even had to borrow money. So we will still have a loan of 1.4 million. However, my husband thinks that this is his specialty. The profit margin is so big and the products produced by innovation are also very good. So why not do it? I don't know what to do anymore. I just feel that we are in the Tai Sui year and I'm afraid that there will be risks. I want to ask Master for guidance. Is my husband lucky enough to keep our property? I find that all her worries are very true. Her husband is a bit more reckless. So for them, they have a house and a car, but they are currently on a loan to borrow money to invest. And they already have a loan of $1.4 million, which is a negative asset and all money to live. Actually, for $1.4 million is actually quite a large sum of money, especially for someone who is actually working for others. It will take a long time to accumulate that money, the sum. Why not just repay the 1.4 million debts first, before considering on investing? So invest only if you have extra money, and not investing all your capital. Although it's an industry that he is a little familiar with, it's like within a short time, a lot of people has approached him about different business opportunities, and he's interested in them. So first of all, the mold industry is not something that he's familiar with. So every different industry is like a difference of a hue. It's very different. So investing in an industry you don't understand is just because the person is from the same village introduced to you. It's not a very wise decision. So sometimes you know that the person is a good person, but doesn't mean that he is able to make money. And within a short time frame, he wants to invest in a few different industries. So we have to be frank and tell them that it is not the right move. If you look into the internet, there are so many different industries that needs funds every day. Are you sure you're going to invest in every one of them? And besides, now you are still in debt. You still have $1.4 million of loans to repay. Well, how would you get more money to invest right now? It's too risky. So I can understand the concerns. Her husband is a bit rash or irrational in his investment decisions. He's probably spending more than what he makes because of his thought process. Whenever he has a little bit of money, regardless of whether it's from investment, from loans or his own, he will want to invest. Just like if you are fated to be a poor person, whenever you have some money in hand, you will want to invest it and spend it away. I find that his husband is a good person, but he's very easily swerved. His knowledge about different industries is too little. He hears people saying that different industries makes money. He doesn't know that. If you want to earn money, you have to first learn about how people actually lost money. That's how you avoid following that same example again, falling into the trap. If you only learn about making money and not learning about how the mistakes they make, you'll never be successful. So judging by the way of his looks, he's a bit irrational, very harsh in making decisions. He has to think more thoroughly. Some people keep thinking that as long as they go for it, they will make it and get rich. But the question is that what if you lose money? Like for example, you take a loan to invest. What if you lose it? If you mortgage your house and you lose money, where will your family stay? He's thinking too positively about the returns that he can get. But he hasn't thought about the debts that he has. Based on the facial features, her husband is one. Whenever he thinks about something that he wants to do, he will just go and do it without thinking too much. A person who can really make money, he has to need certain abilities. First of all, they need to be wise. Second attribute, they need to have very good knowledge. Thirdly, They have to have a good far vision about things. Fourth, they know when to be fast and when to be slow. And the fifth, they need to be very stable in their decisions. For a person in high management, who's a successful person or leader, if you cannot slow down, you are not unable to think clearly. So why do we say that sometimes you need to maintain some quiet silence? Because that gives you clarity, that gives you some thoughts process. When you quiet down, you think about it, you think thoroughly, you will gain wisdom. You will be able to see the whole picture. But when you are not able to think logically, to calm down and analyze, you may not be making the right moves at the right time. Like a general who just fights without thinking about his soldiers' lives. So for Xiao Juan, her husband is a bit rash. He doesn't think much. He only thinks that he's going to make money. He hasn't thought that what if he loses money? So it may actually be a dead end. He hasn't thought about it carefully. So I like Xiao Juan as a wife. She's very worried, that's why she's writing here to ask me for opinion. I think the wife should stand firm and stop this risky investment. If he continues to lose money like this, it may end up in a tragedy. For example, if a couple is going to divorce, if you have $1 million, it will be split into two. Assets will be equally distributed. So the question is that if you are in debt, you will also be split into half between the husband and the wife, even in a divorce. So for Xiao Juan, you have an equal share of the debt. So in order to protect your family, you should stand firm and stop this risky investment. You do not have to think that the money was earned by him, but you have to stand for the family. So Xiao Juan, you need a certain degree of intelligence and rational policy, and you have to take the initiative to stand up as the decision maker in the family. So husband and wife will have equal rights at home. So the wife should stand firm because you have the responsibility and power to repay the debt. So the husband, if the husband invests indiscriminately, the wife should stand up and stop it. Otherwise, the family will be ruined. Speak up courageously, save and protect your family. So although he earned the money, the debt will be shared. So to prevent the husband from being too hot-headed to make random decisions, Xiao Juan must persist and listen to our live broadcast and find a job. So Xiao Juan, if not, you and your kids will be homeless. He hasn't thought about what if he loses the money. Do you think there will be a chance of the first case happening? So the whole family could be ruined. So Xiao Juan, you have to stand up for yourself and stand up for your family as well.
没错，这才是责任。否则的话，你把你丈夫害了。
If not, you're going to harm your husband in the long term.
钱财的时候呢，能管闲事老婆多管点，好吧，多管点，不能让丈夫一个人拿着。
对，财政大权。
对。
So you have to watch the financial status of the family as well.
一块吃苦嘛，是不是？
对。还有就是小娟师姐就是提醒呢，你一定要继续多听师傅的直播。
So Xiao Jun, you must persist and listen to Master's live broadcasts to get some wisdom about how you apply to your daily life. You actually seize the risk, and with more listening of the live broadcast, you may actually gain more wisdom. And you can also encourage your husband to listen to. So Xiao Jun, you can also find a job for yourself to be financially independent. So you have more speech, more voice in the family.
第一，别冲动，凡是往外拿钱的事儿哈，他不是吃了一餐饭拿的钱，这叫投资啊。投资往外拿钱的事儿，投资无小事儿，最少要思考1个礼拜。
So in major investments, you must at least think for a week, find out more before you make any major decisions. Do not invest in industries that you are not familiar with.
你就懂得你赚钱的几率就可能只有20%，知道吗？那你根本就不懂的话，几乎100%赔钱。
If you know the industry, the chance of making money is around 20%. But if you are investing in the industry that you are totally unknown to you, there's a 100% chance that you may lose money. So the risk is actually very high.
就叫人给骗了嘛，对不对？
那在国际上呢就更多了。那师傅我讲一个知名的大案例啊。就是在硅谷的哈，那个案例我们就叫滴滴，美国硅谷。
So there is a huge investment scam in America.
硅谷西谷。对啊，就是这个创业投资的啊这个案例叫第一滴血。
This is a drop of blood scam.
对，这个是2004年的时候。
In 2004. In Stanford University, there was an undergraduate who was only 19 years old then. Her name is Elizabeth Holmes.
结果呢，他呢就创建了一个公司他号称采血就是验血呀，就用1滴血，然后能够就检验。
So she decided to drop out of school to start a business and founded Theranos, which claimed to be able to detect 200 diseases with just 1 drop of blood, which is a very fast and cheap way.
真是很多人给他投资以为这个是一个新兴的一个科技的突破以至于到了2014年的时候，这个伊丽莎白被福布斯评为美国最富有的女性之一，堪称女版乔布斯
So in 2014, Elizabeth was named as one of the richest women in the United States by Forbes. At that time, she owned 50% of the company's shares, and Theranos' valuation reached a peak of $9 billion. So Theranos was a very luxurious lineup of investors, including the Oracle founder Ellison, media mogul Robert Murdoch, the Walton family, which is the Walmart company, the Walgreens, the largest drugstore chain in the United States, the DeVos family, and the Theranos board of directors also includes the Associate Dean of Stanford University School of Engineering, Kenning Robertson, who was hired as a consultant of the company and became the first board member. There was also 2 former U.S. Secretaries of State, Henry Kissinger and George Skroll, and Wells Fargo CEO, former Wells Fargo CEO, and 2 former U.S. Secretaries of Defense, James Mattis and William Perry. And there were 2 former U.S. senator, former U.S. Navy admiral. However, in 2015, the blood testing machine developed by Theranos was found to not work at all. So the blood test results were unreliable, and most of the tests used traditional blood testing equipment. So there were a lot of mistakes in the reports. So Elizabeth has been making up lies and has defrauded investors of $1.4 billion. Eventually, she was sentenced to pay $452 million in damages and jailed for at least 12 years. So till now, she has not gone to the jail yet. Because she's now pregnant and she hasn't gone to jail yet. So there was another judge who told her that regardless of whether you are pregnant or not, you are supposed to fulfill your jail term. So people who are very well-known investors were all cheated by her. These are like international known investors who were also cheated by her. Because when other people see that even famous investors are investing in the company, they will let their guard off. So it's like young people related to technology investment. So even big bosses have invested in the company, so everyone would think that it's a sound investment. But in the end, they were also cheated. They all suffered great losses. But for these big investors, they have actually invested in many different avenues. So even if they lose this $1 billion, they are able to take the loss because they will have earned money from the other investments that they have. But for us, we are different.
所以的话，这么大人物都上了当，那希望我们的网友哈，凡是投资往外拿钱的事儿，都得小心点儿，多考虑几天。
So I hope all of you who are making investments always think about it, reconsider it first before you go into an investment. Because we're not even talking about scams yet. We're just talking about normal business investments. There's already the risk involved, and there's also people who take the money and run away. So there's normal risk in investments. Like example, a pandemic occurs that affects the business. Any circumstances can happen. Any risk can happen. So we know that every investment has risk. So whenever you're making any investment, do reconsider, do think carefully. Spend a bit of time to reconsider it before making the decision. And always repay your debts first. So you should earn your own keep first. Work for people. So let's give Xiao Juan some present. So hope that she gained her wisdom. So she turned over a new leaf. So let's give her a blessed bead.
这串珠子比较漂亮哈。这我觉得这个小娟网友还是挺有智慧的。
Let's give 小娟。
这个女生戴在脖子上当项链。
She can wear this on her
这多好啊
neck when she chants. So the whole family will be blessed. So maybe the money that you have will come back soon. I hope that miracles do happen for you. May you and your husband be all blessed and everything be smooth going for you. Do reconsider before you take any actions.
师傅，那接下来呢，我们还有一位网友哈，是我们来自于美国的网友，大家以前
So next
听过
master,
他的故事。
we have
知名网友
someone
这位网友
from
他之前是买房，那现在呢
from
也来跟我们
America.
分享一个他投资的故事。
They used to have shared with us
来
because
自于
he
美
bought
国
a
的
place.
如信师兄，他是说，2010年的时候，我和国外的朋友参与了一项投资活动。
In 2010,
他说，
I participated in an investment opportunity with a friend from abroad. He said that in order for me to get a corner of this big cake, he asked me to fly over to look for him immediately. I also had some doubts at the beginning, but after personally going and witnessing the skill and the preparation of their investment in full swing, my doubts disappeared immediately and I felt very happy to be able to participate in this investment opportunity. Within 3 days, I sold all my stocks and invested more than $2 million, thinking that it will be amazing returns soon. A year has passed on quickly, and various reasons are telling me to wait. And 2 years has passed, 3 years, and all in vain. I started to feel very moody and restless, and gradually I became unsociable, unwilling to talk, depressed, and entered a state of depression. Later, when I started to follow Master to practice meditation, I finally understood that the pain of failure was caused by my own greed, so I let go of all the burdens in my heart. Thanks to Master for his enlightenment, he has rescued me from the edge of the cliff.
人生经验非常丰富啊！
真是个江湖神人哈！
投了资，卖了股票，结果呢？
他总干那个特别不靠谱的事儿啊！
他被人忽悠了没
So he was actually cheated.
钱你也能想得出来，而且甚至还想着能挣到手。
对，他以为有惊人的回报啊！
He thought there was going to be amazing returns.
最终就仨字儿，这不可能。
So it's not possible.
光惊人没回报。
是。
我相信他刚投的时候还要感谢那个朋友。
I believe that when he first made the investment, he was very thankful to his friend for asking me, for inviting me to join in this investment opportunity. He must have been very thankful to this friend.
朋友们，请你记住哈。
So all our online friends, remember this. If you think that this is going to be a gold mine,
真正挣钱，他跟你说小声我告诉你，你别告诉别人哈，按那个密码就能取到金子的这种事儿，一定是个骗局。
if anyone tells you quietly, if you press a certain code and you can get the money, that's definitely a cheat. That's a scam.
就是当时我不知道是不是，就当时国民政府印了一些那种钞票那票面特别大，什么美金50万，还有500万，等等的很大的那种票据，反正一看确实是老的票子，还要到中央银行兑换，什么怎么样，说的像真的哈。有一次在中国山东地区那个附近的，
In Shandong,
卖的特别厉害。最后
they have this currency that was very
其实我
popular.
早听说这个骗局了，早
That
听
was
说
actually a scam.
一个富人哈。 就做房地产的富人
A rich man who was in property investments.
年的时候
He had $2 million.
这个倾家荡产。
Because of this, he actually lost his fortune.
2017年
In
有个
2017,
同学拿几张这个票，指说师傅，这是放在您这儿吧。
there was
如果能兑换了
my
更好，
disciple
兑
who
换
brought
不了
this
那就当做个纪念。
notes
他说的时候
over,
就带着哭腔。
who told me, Master, I'm going to leave this note with you. If I can eventually redeem it, then it will be good. If not, then I just leave it here with you for a memento. Because of these notes, there are many people who has actually lost their fortune, have bankrupt.
说拿着这个票面，比如说加起来好几百万、几千万美金，是不是啊？ 比如从1936年存的，你存到现在光利息多少钱吧？
对呀。
就想那超大的一笔费用，对不对？
So they would think that this is worth a lot of money.
票了，其实谁都没拿到过钱。
But no one has actually redeemed it before.
最后他真的认输了，他实在吵不下去了，再接下来要不然就杀人，要不我就被杀，成了到了这个结果了，他把那票给我了。
So they gave it to me.
问了一下说不知道，都摇头。
I went to the banks and asked them whether this is redeemable. They all said, no, it's not possible. So I knew that the money was gone.
就是这个形成于虚拟货币。
So this is like the early age of the virtual currency.
货币还虚，虽然这个票真的有，但是鬼知道是谁印的。
So these coupons actually exist, but who knows who was the one who printed them?
现在今天的那个台湾政府会认吗？我觉得他不认的，他干嘛白付这个钱？他傻。
But no one will recognize these coupons.
这钱事你找老蒋去。
就当梦一场吧，
对不对？
别说那么老远的，现在那瑞士那个金融界那么有信用的，那瑞士
Even for the Swiss bank.
不认嘛，1分钱不给你啊。
对。
When the banks collapse,
也想讲信用的呀。
they can't even get any money out.
海外的存款1分不认呀。
1分不认。
你找谁？
When the banks crash, no one will pay back the
现
money.
在说20几年前哈，就是在香港。
So 20 years ago,
他就跟我说
in Hong Kong, I have a friend from Hong Kong.
70多岁了。
He was already in his 70s.
我就一般见了长者呢，我都说你能不能传授我一点人生经验。
So I used to tell older people, can you tell me about life stories in life experiences?
别相信银行。
He said, don't ever believe the bank.
他说我呢年轻的时候啊，
He said when he was young, when he was in his 30s,
他30多岁的时候，也就40年前哈，
that was like 40 years ago,
香港是富人。
he was very rich because he had
香港人能有200万就不错了。
$20 million.
他就存在了香港什么国际什么什么什么。
And he kept this
现在已
money
经不在了。
inside a Hong Kong bank, which is no longer around
他
now.
呢就认识这个银行的一个董事。
So he knows one of the directors in the
他就把
bank.
他那个钱全存进去。
So he actually saved his money inside the bank.
就还没等贷款呢，这个银行倒闭了。
But the
他
bank
的朋友
crashed.
说我倒闭了，我自己都倾家荡产了。
So the person he knew said that I myself am bankrupt right now.
赔了他2000多块。
So he actually had $20 million, but he was only compensated with $2,000.
就是这样。
And he's lost all his fortune.
让他就再也站不起来了。
So from then
把
on,
他那个本哈全部打的，关键
he lost all his capital.
精神错乱了。
And that also affected his brains.
还是有福之人呐，还是最后认识了师傅哈。
他赔钱了吗？
He was still very lucky. He still got to know Master.
都赔的忧郁了。
他忧郁，他不都健在吗？
But he's still around.
人师傅嘛，就是跟着师傅修行以后，明白了。
So after he followed Master,
痛苦不就是因为我当时
he realized that the pain was all caused by his
至
greed.
少有2000多万。你想吧，人家赔了钱都从墙上往下跳，他跳啥了？咱得问问他。他跳橡皮筋儿跳鬼步舞所以的话他就没事儿哈。
挺好，没事儿。
是因为这真的。
如行，你要坚强的活下去哈。
So no matter what,
你说明天你跳皮筋儿可以跳。
you must leave.
如行师兄会的。
你们跟前这桥也挺浅的，跳也没用。
他经常给我们提供这些经验教训。
不是，我都想不到他还干这种事儿啊！
我也没想到呀，师傅。
哇，这真是如行，我们真是小看你了哈！哎呀。 你的行为促使我们醒悟哈。
You have made us awaken.
网友们都醒悟。
You have awakened us with your decisions and the choices that you have made.
就冲这他都会有些。
The mistakes that you have made has awakened us.
你赔这么多钱，
That you lost so much money, $2 million.
给个小礼物吧。
So let's give him a little present.
这金币一个1万啊。
So the gold coins.
咱们送咱们那个红色的哈。 药师佛的衫儿，
哇，这个穿上那
保佑他安全住鬼屋啊。
So let's give him a shirt.
人家也升职了，学了菩提以后。
他要女士男士啊？
男士
都行，
男士。
他师姐肯定跟他抢着穿。
好，这个我们的新的衫儿哈。
This is a new shirt that we have.
药师佛梵文的。
The Medicine Buddha. So he'll be blessed and protected and is blessed with auspiciousness. So for Wu Xing, hope you do not have any nightmares anymore. And don't randomly make any investments. This Medicine Buddha red t-shirt are available at Cibei Yin online. And also the Energy Bagua t-shirt. These are the new collection that we have. These are available on the Cibei Yin online. But there's limited stocks, so can get them soon. After listening to Ruxin's story, so let's listen to the next one from Los Angeles. This is also a similar story. 20 years ago, a friend of mine, through studying my husband's 八字, which is 8 characters and facial features, predicted that my husband would die of illness within 3 years based on his face and date of birth, and advised that I should quickly buy life insurance for him. Looking at my 50-year-old healthy husband, although I was skeptical, I still believed her and bought an investment-linked life insurance for my husband, the beneficiary of which is our 10-year-old daughter. 2 years later, my husband suffered acute pancreatitis and died within 15 days. Unexpectedly, my friend was right. A week later, when I received a compensation of $180,000 from the insurance company, I was still at a loss, as if it was in a dream. Although I had money in my hands, I had no one to rely on, and I still need to bring up my 12-year-old daughter. I felt empty in my heart, which was so desolate. With a loved one passing on, luck seems to have declined, and it seemed that even the IQ and wisdom has been taken away. At that time, a person whom I have not contacted me for a long time, knowing that I had a windfall wealth, took the opportunity to enter my life and encouraged me to invest in calligraphy, painting, and antiques, so as to obtain huge profits and to make money easily. He took out a picture album from decades ago and asked me to invest with him in buying an original works of Zhang Daqian shown in the picture album, which can be auctioned later. At that time, I also signed some legal documents on investments, saying that it's to make long-term plans for the future life of myself and my daughter. He caught me at the weakest moment, and I was just lost my pillar of support. When I was worried about the future, who has always been indifferent in investing in stocks, I handed him $180,000. It was later identified that the painting was a fake one and not the original Zhang Daqian, and this person disappeared and couldn't be connected. Later, I learned that he used different methods to deceive many people and even defraud a bank president of $500,000, causing him to live in the streets and become homeless. So, do believe in fortune tellers at times. They can be quite accurate. So you actually bought the insurance, and so they used a life to exchange for the compensation of the insurance policy, and yet that was cheated away. So that friend told her that the Zhang Daqian work could be auctioned away to earn money, but that's actually a fake work. So for people who normally don't contact you, suddenly they knew about that she has a sudden windfall, so started coming to her, telling her to invest, to make money, telling her that if you keep the 180,000 there, maybe after 10 years, you have only left 10%. So she told her to buy a famous painting in order to keep the value of the money. It is true that if you buy the real works, the money could potentially appreciate. But the question is that where you buy it from? Where do you buy the works from?
我是一个杂家啊，对，就是我什么都懂一点，就是这样。你进一个商店，
I know everything, a little bit of everything.
那你尽量别在他家，在假货之中找真货买。
If you go into the shop and you know that they sell some fake items, then you should not buy anything there because if you are looking for real items among fake items, do you think what's the chances of finding a real product there? So for him, a lot of things could be fake. If you want to look for real works within the fake items, it's very impossible. But if a shop that sells all genuine products, could there be a fake inside? Yes. It's because the boss may not have been careful, may have overlooked, so there was actually a fake item inside. So whenever you go to a shop that sells fake items, do not be greedy. So for the works of Zhang Daqian, he's one of the top artists around.
是
张大千的哈，
对，
还有一个再就是那个也比较高的是留法的那个画的朦胧的赵无极哈，
赵无极
先生也比较高哈。
These are all very high standings for painters.
那个叫啥？
齐白石，对。
And 齐白石。
这三个人的还是比较顶尖的。
These three are the top, cream of the. Yeah, in terms of pricing as well. But such expensive, valuable works, you will not be able to find them in a normal family. And many of these actually have scams. Like Beijing, in Xi'an, they have some old famous courtyard. There's no one staying inside. So some people just go and rent for a few days, and inside they put all the fake items. So if you happen to go there, or there are people who pull you inside to listen, to look at the exhibits. So they actually have a story to bluff you, to tell you that the items are real, but actually they are not real.
有一个小猫在吃食，那个盘子写着大清乾隆年制。
Or they have a bowl that mention about it's of Qianlong era.
最后说买这盘子吧，老头说不卖，我这是我祖传的。
And if you want to buy it, they will pretend to say that he doesn't want to sell because it's inherited. They will do many methods to make you convinced, to cheat on you, telling you that this belongs to a certain general, or it belongs to a very famous person, or it belongs to a relative, and they will try to sell you the counterfeit product.
甚至还有他怎么看都是真的，结果仔细一看是印刷品，还有这样，印刷品当然像真的了。但是你
So some of the items are printed. Of course, they look real.
尤其是中国国画，反正都在纸上的，对不对？像油画的话，印刷品和画的那个还能看出来，它那个。
So for all oil paintings, at least you can tell the difference between what is printed and what's the real works. But some of the other paintings, you are not able to tell if you are not specialized in it. For example, like Zhang Daqian artists, if it is a limited edition of imitation, you may not be able to tell the difference too. Because even for the imitation, it is actually worth like $10,000. So do not fall for it. And if it's something that you are not aware of, you don't know about, so do not invest in it. And if you have money coming in, do not let people know that you are wealth.
付了啊，这个也不叫付了，其实就18万，真的还是孩子的，有点像那种。就是先生的养命钱的那种感觉。
For this 180,000 is something like the father has given to the daughter for her future living expenses.
我讲的买这个假东西哈，对，我们有一个同修，他先生没给我们学过法哈，哎，是个大老板。
So we have a disciple. Her husband has never come here before. He's a big boss himself.
就跑到一个古董店啊。
So he went to an antique shop.
他一看，哎，这个东西这是中国的这个古典那个什么东西，是一个什么香炉啊。
So there's like incense burner.
又是上头有鎏金啊。
Which is gold plated.
带有大清什么什么年制之类的，哎，还有照片，还有说这是名人收藏过的。
And there's a record saying that it was once a collector's item by a famous person.
这个先生呢有钱，但是他不懂啊。
So the husband is very rich, but he doesn't know much about all these antiques. So he bought it. So he asked me to take a look.
我就看先生，
实际值多少钱？
我说实话吧哈。
对。
最多值500块钱。
I think at most it was only worth $500.
假的。
退也没得。
It is not a real item.
没得对啊。
退也没法退货吧？
不能退啊。
You can't return the item.
写着呢。这是名贵商品了哈，他在他家收柜台的某一个角落贴着呢。名贵商品一出门就不能退换。
There's a note written that once is sold, cannot be returned anymore.
你这个不懂啊。
So he bought it for 300 over thousand.
我是说，哎呀，你早点来找我。
But it's actually worth only $500. It's actually an imitation.
对，不懂就别买。
So if you are not aware, if you don't know much about antiques, it's best not to touch them, not to buy them. And don't listen to stories in any investments. If you buy paintings, or buy antiques, or buy properties, or any form of investments, I list them all as investments. Do not listen to their stories. There are some people who are very good at making up stories, and that's how they cheat people. The thing is fake. The thing is an imitation. But they are able to convince you with a very interesting story. So you have to be very cautious in making any investments. So let's give her a present.
如意吉祥，对对对，
一个是释然。
好，我送给这位洛杉矶的李师姐呢，送她一个，这是五谷金刚杵。
So let's give her one of these.
冲破障碍啊！
突破障碍，一切吉祥哈。
Raja Pestis.
家庭幸福。
感恩师父。这个五谷金刚杵
The copper 5-strand Vajra Pestis. You can actually keep in a bag. It's very convenient, or you can leave it at home to help to protect the home and or protect you when you are outside.
好，师傅好。那接下来呢，还有一个很精彩的故事哈。
So next we have another very interesting story.
爱情、钱财双投资。
So it's a double investment in love and money.
师傅好。
Hello, Master. My name is Mei Hui, and I really enjoy watching your live broadcasts. I can learn a lot from your live broadcasts, which is even better than going to Tsinghua University and Beijing University. I really want to ask Master about my relationship with my boyfriend. 6 years after my divorce, I met my current boyfriend. He's more than 10 years older than me and has been also divorced. He's a surgeon, but he's no longer working in the hospital. After starting his own business but failing, he has been decadent. When I met him, we had a good impression of each other and he was considerate towards me, which made me cherish him after my previous failed marriage. And I think he is talented and graduated with master's degree. I hope the two of us can work together to help him revive his career. But then it turned out that he was failing all the time and I felt like a failure too. It seems that he's similar to Da Quan's senior brother, He also tried many different types of industries, including investments, currency, speculation, etc. Every time a friend tells him about an opportunity, he will simply join without much thoughts, and soon he will quit when he realized that he was losing money. And then another friend will persuade him to join another new project. He will enter impulsively again and then lose money again. Just like this, he has lost $300,000 of my money, and I feel very heartbroken with him losing the money. I graduated from junior high school, and I have no diploma or special skills. I have worked hard for a long time to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wanted to use the money to buy a house if I was already in my 40s, and yet I'm still renting a place. As a result, the money was lost by him, and my plane came to a knot. I have been selling healthcare products for 6 to 7 years, and I've always supported the living expenses of the two of us when I was with my boyfriend. He seemed to be good at all the investments he made, but once he invested money, he lost money. I also reminded him later not to invest anymore, and let's set up a business together to sell some products. But he didn't listen. I also introduced him to our company as a lecturer, earning around $6,000 to $7,000 in the first month, and the work is not tiring. But he only did it for a month and then he gave up, saying that it's not suitable for him. He gave up being a lecturer because someone called him to join the direct selling industry. After working for half a year, he didn't earn a dime, and it cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I reminded him several times that we can't go on like this anymore, and that if we take a fancy of an industry, we should continue to do it in a down-to-earth manner. But I can't persuade him. I finally said I won't invest any more money now because of you. I'm now in debt and I still have to pay interest. You go and figure out what you're going to do. The relationship between the two of us was affected by the failure of those investments. To be honest, I'm very conflicted about our future. The two have feelings, but if it goes on like this for a long time, it will only use up all my money. I asked Master to help me see if my boyfriend can make a career, what's the prospect of me with him, and can we achieve a good marriage. So it's a double investment in investment and also in love. Because for Mei Hui, she has divorced before, so when she meets another boyfriend who is highly educated, she's touched. Because for her, she's only graduated from junior high school. So when she meets someone who has a remarkable education, she will feel touched by it. And before that, he used to be a surgeon, but not sure what's the reason that he's no longer a surgeon anymore, but he's now into investments instead. So according to Mei Hui, whenever the boyfriend talks about any of the investment opportunity, he seems to know them very well, but whenever he puts in money to it, it will lose money, you will fail. And he will step out of it, he will withdraw. And when people tell him about the next opportunity, he will put money in again. So Mei Hui actually put in another $300,000 in his investments. And for daily expenses, she's also the one paying for them. So actually, when she wrote the letter here, she more or less knows how it is. She has no more money because he has already lost his money. I find that to manage love or marriage, if it's just based on monetary terms, it is not real love. It's not real true love. She's thinking that if I pay for it, if I sponsor him, will he love me more? But actually, love is not like that. Whenever he invests, he loses the money. So how will she have enough money for him? in all the investments he makes. So she got him to become a lecturer and earning like 7,000 to 8,000 a year. He only did it for a month and then he stopped. He didn't want to continue. So he's actually not very reliable.
像跳舞的，就他的人生是弹跳人生，对，学跳舞你也飞不到楼上去，但是总是跳个不停，就稳。
So he's like constant dancer, constantly moving.
事业都是稳扎稳打来的。对呀。他呢
So a lot of careers is supposed to be more stable, but for him, he's like always moving around. This is not quite like the doctor. So now Mei Hui is starting to see that.
就是这个学历也好，专业也好，不是就是就能代替一切的。
那你说他自己踏踏实实的工作也很辛苦的，虽然积攒的不多，但人家积攒下来几十万。
So Mei Hui, although she has worked very hard, she managed to save up a substantial amount of money for herself over time.
但是呢，在他这里也印证了另外一句话，因为喜欢，所以多付出。
Because she likes.
这句话。
That's why she give more.
和人身上都一样。对，你只要喜欢，并且执着追求的话
，if you like it and you're persistent about it,
无底洞哈。
that's like an endless hole, and you would tend to pay more in the end.
我也想送给美惠一句话，这师父经常讲的：男怕入错行，女怕嫁错郎。
For a guy, they are worried about entering the wrong industry. For a woman, you are worried about marrying the wrong man. The husband did not enter the wrong industry because he didn't exactly have a career. He's just moving around like a little monkey. This is not a model of working, the right model to work.
对，就是这先生，你就听我来进行讲这个直播也一样哈。你这种思维方式太跳跃了，这种跳跃的思维方式没有事可以做成的。
If you keep moving around, you can never accomplish something.
你也想在你这个太太或者女朋友面前荣耀感，对不对？
I believe you want to feel some honor.
还有不靠谱的思维
You want to be proud of yourself. You want your partner to be proud of you. But if you keep skipping and moving around in other industries, you will never succeed.
这个过程当中还是一门深入呢。
So you are supposed to go deeper into in a special area that you are best at.
你自己呢要把握一个火候，是吧？对这个东西啊，它其实就有点像投资一样。
So this is just like investment.
对，美惠你也看一看我们网友的留言，大家都当局者迷，旁观者清啊，大家都看得可明白了。
So people can see it from clearer on the side.
师傅，咱们送给美惠一个小礼物吧，也加持她一下。
好。
If you invest money in love, longing for love, you may end up losing both. So let's give her a present to bless her.
这个特别漂亮的手串哈。
This is a beautiful bracelet, very suitable for Mei Hui. May you be blessed with auspiciousness.
不要再做乱投资了。
And do not invest wrongly anymore.
希望找到一个好的男人。
And may you find a good man.
感恩师父，太好了。说我们讲这个投资的话题哈，我们网友留言也是挺丰富多彩的。
So a lot of our online friends has also been sharing about their own investments. So let me share with you one.
昭造啊，他说。
昭造 mentioned.
师父好，吉祥如意。我认识一个师姐的儿子，本来在银行工作，那以前
I have a Dharma sister's son who works in a bank.
300多万，把妈妈的房子拍卖了，
who was cheated of $3 million. Eventually, the mother has to sell her house to repay the debts, which was not even enough. So now the son is still relying on the mother. And the mother has actually mortgaged off her house, sold off her house to repay the son's debts. So now she could only stay in a rented place.
也希望他早日康复，业障消除，感恩师父。
And the son is not in very good health as well. So by right, when he used to work in the bank, it was actually a very good career because ultimately he was an employee and earning a regular pay, which is actually a very stable job. But by making the wrong investment, he went into mining. He invested in mining industry. But did he know about mining? Do you know about the process of mining? It's something that you didn't know. So, but end up, your mother has to sell her place, and she did not have a place on her own anymore. So the mother couldn't scold the son because he will want to commit suicide. So when he was working in the bank, it was such a good iron rice bowl. Why did he have to take a risk? How long do you have to work in the bank before you can earn $3 million? So it reminds me of the art of war. So there's another sharing from iPay. So 7 years ago, I heard that investing in construction is very lucrative. So I bought a lot of the products. But after she bought the items, the other party did not pay her. So eventually she lost her money. Actually, in construction, many people actually do make money. So she heard that, wow, many people make money from construction by doing construction. So it was something very new to her. It's a very new industry. She thought that by buying the stocks, she will make money, but actually it's not the case. It was too naive. So we have another new immigrant who wants to share about her experience in Toronto. She's from Toronto. Hello, Master. I'm Xiao Na from Toronto. Our family is a new immigrant to Canada. At the beginning of this year, my husband sold our original house, but after arriving in Canada, the house price skyrocketed. The children are still young, so in order to have a stable residence, we gave up our dream of a detached house and bought a terrace house. My husband and I were both originally doctors. I went to Toronto to study Masuo skills, and I have not graduated yet. My husband used to be a sonographer, but because of the relevant examinations here has been suspended, so he is currently working in a supermarket and has not yet decided on his future career direction. Currently, I spend more than $10,000 to sign up for the real estate investment course, hoping to make money from it in the future. It turns out that teachers don't want to teach us much. Should I accept the nature of business world, like battlefields, and continue to invest in the real estate, or should I give it up? I hope Master can give me guidance to me and my husband for our future careers. Thanks, Master. So she spent $10,000 to learn about real estate investments. So normally if you want to do real estate investments, you need to have some capital. In Canada, regardless of whether you are in Toronto or Vancouver, in these recent years, the government has introduced a lot of policies to avoid the rising prices that will affect the real estate, to curb speculation. So right now, if Canada, you want the price of property to go up very high, it's going to be tough. So for empty houses that are not rented out, there will be another tax imposed. And there will also be costs of repairs in order to upkeep the house. So the times of making money from the houses in Vancouver, in Canada, are over. So you should find something within your means to buy, to stay for your own use. Not so much for speculation or for investment. And the both of you are trained doctors. I understand the reason why a lot of Chinese doctors, when they go to Canada, they couldn't do their work here because the license is not recognized by the government here in Canada. So I think that instead of using the money to buy the real estate investment, you should actually enhance your skills. You should get your license here, practice your original license here. Learn more and go back to the medical industry. There's a lack of medical workers here in Canada. It is not a great opportunity to invest in real estate right now in Canada. And actually, a lot of these developed countries, like example, Korea, they have also imposed a lot of new curbs to contain the prices of real estate from escalating. Same for America, Canada, I think Taiwan as well. So in these countries that I've been to, the government has been imposing a lot of rules and curbs to prevent the property prices from escalating. So a lot of times you may actually be losing money. So if you're speculating on real estate, it's more like speculating on the government policies. But based on the current policies, it's very hard, very difficult to make money. So my advice to you is that based on how you look, especially for your husband, he looks very much like a doctor. So he should go. Advice to the husband: persevere for a while, go back to your own business, have a stable job and salary, and you have no worries about food and clothing. So the advice to your wife: you have a more expressive face, you have more extrovert, so you can consider doing medical sales, some skills related or management related. If you do medical sales, it will be very good for you. So we know that medical is actually more of a stable job as well. So spend a few more years to get your license here to practice medicine in Canada. You look at Canada, a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, they're actually very wealthy. So this is actually the best investment that you should make. It's most worth it. Invest in your education, invest in your studies. Regardless of which country you are in, investment in education is always the best, which has the best payout in the long term. So by studying, by educating yourself, you actually gain a lot more. So let's give her a present. She's a new immigrant. Let's give her new clothes. And let's give them a pair of Mandarin ducks. So each of them will have a shirt The medicine Buddha red T-shirt. Each of them will get a medicine Buddha red T-shirt. And they will have 2 of these Mandarin ducks as a couple, wishing you happiness as a couple, to be blessed with auspiciousness. So Master, you have guided us about a few methods to make money. So people invest in order to improve their lifestyle, to improve their wealth. So today we have shared a lot of these cases. So let's do a conclusion. My conclusion. First of all, we are not very wealthy. I'm not a banker. I'm not an investor. But from the many stories and cases that I heard of, I'm going to share with you. For the more wealthy countries and cities, for example, in America to Canada, these are known as more affluent countries, like Germany. Like these are the more affluent countries. In Asia, like Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Korea, Taiwan, Taipei, Shanghai, Beijing, Guangdong, Shenzhen. These are the more developed countries and regions. A lot of them actually earn a higher salary, higher income. But those who are able to do the real investments of making their money work for them, when the deposits that you have, the capital that you have, is less than $10 million, you should not invest. You should just save it in the bank. Put it in the fixed deposit. So you are not suitable to invest. Because in the finance world, if you have $10 million, the next month you can only get $2 million. The risk is very high. Just like the funds manager, whenever they make a mistake, whenever the fund manager makes a mistake and the loss is very high, it will affect many families as well. And there are people who pool investments together. They ask you to invest. But many of these are very... If you have only 20,000, 30,000, it's not real investments. I've seen many people from different industries. And when people talk about funds, they talk about millions of dollars, billions of dollars. So for each of you, as a family, if your deposit is less than $10 million, don't invest. And there's a high chance of losing your money. It may actually affect your whole livelihood as well, the whole lifestyle. Last time I mentioned before, example, if you have $10 million, the maximum you can take is only 1/3. 1/3 to invest, and the other 2/3 you should deposit into 2 different banks. Why? Because in case one of the banks crash, at least you still have some money. Although we say that the chances of a bank clashing is very low, but it has happened before. So if you're going to borrow money to invest, aren't you looking for death? Aren't you looking for trouble? If you loan money, so there was a person who went to gamble in Macau. He was very young, only 20 years old. He went to gamble and then he lost his money. Eventually, he became crippled as well. So his life was ruined. So when they go to Macau and gamble, there'll be people around who ask them to borrow, who wants to borrow, lend them money so that they can gamble. They will ask you to sign on the IOU. They have their own way of getting out of trouble. The companies that loan you to you. So we should not take investments with a gambling attitude. So if you have money, you must at least keep 60 to 70% in stable grounds. The maximum you take is only 30% for investment. And you must invest in areas, in segments that you have been studying for a long time, that you are familiar with. But even with that, there's still risk. What if you think that you have done your research and you think that everything is real, but ultimately realize it's a scam? But at least, if it's only 30%, it will not affect your life. So you may not agree on what I suggest. I think that maybe it's better for you to work for someone instead, to work in a more down-to-earth manner, contented and happy. Don't have a gambler's mentality. It's better to work down to earth so as not to be cheated. The main source of income still has to come from your main business, not investment.
师父讲的是，对，非常的，从肺腑之言哈，就是从那个心窝里边说出来的话。
真心是不希望我们再上当受害了。
So Master doesn't want anyone to be involved in a scam or to lend money from the loan sharks.
什么炒股票也是都炒疯狂的，
or crazy speculation of stocks.
听了都不着调的那种投资啊。哎呀，简直就一头扎进去的啊，全后悔嘛。
Or irrational decisions from stock investments or speculations.
妄想式的这种投资的话，最重要还是师父是不希望看到我们受伤害。
So most important is the Master doesn't want to see you being hurt.
所以确实是
and to affect the whole family. So even if you're very rich, you have to make sure that you have a stable life. You only use 30% of your assets for investment.
还有呢，就是我们在真正遇到，比如说我要去做一件工作，或者比如说类似像开个餐馆哈。
So for example, if you want to open a restaurant,
不要用那种叫做侥幸心理。
Do not use the mentality of having luck.
举例来说哈，比如说一副扑克牌。
For example, like poker cards, they have numbers from 1 to 13.
你想从11到13。
From 11 to 13.
但是你给自己注定的说，我要抽到，比如说13这一个数。
But if you told yourself you want to get 13, based on the chances, what's the chances? It's 1 over 13 chance of getting that card.
13分之1的几率，你想这是个
1 over 13. Do you think it's a high chance or very low chance? Why don't you do something that you are more confident in, that has an 80% chance of getting it? So for example, you work for people, you know that ultimately at the end of the month, your boss has to pay you. So in every investment you make, there's actually a risk. So you know that, for example, the restaurant operator is very kind, very good. But what if suddenly he dies of stroke? But besides him, no one else can manage the restaurant. Do not use the chance of hope.
第13，尤其是还有更难的时候，我肯定能抽到方片13，这就更增加了难度，知道吗？
Do not have a gambler's mentality.
1/50，对不对？当你这样要求自己的时候，甚至是1%都可能会发生了，这不可能落到你头上去。所以真正叫做赌徒心理和加侥幸心理，千万不要用于自己的家庭的安危上。
Do not use the gambler's mentality, especially at the risk of your family.
所以还是踏踏实实的工作啊，不要去用这种赌博的心理来获取财富。那踏踏实实工作，可能有的人就说：“哎呀
do not use the gambler's mentality, and it's better to work on a more down-to-earth manner.”
刚才跟小娜夫妇讲的也是这样吧。 你要投资在自己的专业领域。
So like just now, what Master has mentioned to Xiao Na, invest in what you are specialized in, to build up a skill, a specialty. Invest in yourself. So if you have a fixed amount of money,
今天上课前呢，我们几个人都在说讨论这个事儿。比如说，经常有些银行的一些人，或者是劝你投资的人。
Normally, there'll be some people in the banks, like bank managers or bank salespeople, who will tell you that inflation is now very high and prices are escalating. Like, so so $1 million today versus 10 years later, do you think they have the same value? I'm very sure it's only left 800,000 10 years later. So it has inflated. But at least you still have 800,000. But if you have invested it, there's a chance that you may not have any left.
就是我们中文里面把投资叫做投资。你看，就像我拿一个金元宝，我的钱吧，但我一旦投资，给它投出去了，扔出去。
So there's a saying that if you invest, it's just like having a gold ingot and throwing it away. So there are some people who do leverage. So there are people who lend others money. So remember that the moment you lend the money to someone else, the money is no longer yours. Be it whether investment or lending money. So the money is no longer yours. So in your mind, you tell yourself that I lend Lao Wang $1 million. But are you sure that Lao Wang will be able to return you the money? So when you lend money to somebody, it's equivalent to giving. So there was once someone told me that whenever I have money, so there's this man. His kids are going to university and he didn't have enough money. So he said, I will donate $10,000 to you, but you do not borrow money from me. So you think that, wow, this person is so cool, so kind. But on the contrary, if you lend the money to them, they will always hide away from you, and you will never be a good person in their eyes. So when you lend money to people versus if you invest, since you know that you may not get it back, so you may as well give it to someone else instead. If you cannot take the risk, then it's better not to lend the money or invest in the money. So a lot of times we want to invest to try to improve the lifestyle of ourselves and our family. But the question is that how much is enough?
我的概念呢，就是我们在学习禅修，也在学习佛法。
So as we learn the Buddha's Dharma,
活到今天这个年龄的时
and
候，
as we learn
我有一
meditation,
份新的领会，那就是知足常乐。这是一个哲学概念哈。那怎么理解这个事儿呢？
contentment actually brings
一
happiness.
开始我说到的，我总结的是，其实最幸福的生活是什么样的呢？
Actually, what's the happiest?
就是过那个经济紧张的生活。这个月不好好打工，下个月吃饭就困难。
It's like if you don't work hard enough, and the next month you have problems surviving.
也因此你不能退休，你不能休息。
So you cannot rest, you cannot
富
retire.
人怎么那么富？但是你和你全家人都是在健康的生活，
But if your whole family is very healthy,
正在健康而自然的存在和发展中。当你钱一旦多了，你和你的家人的所谓思维和生活模式都变得就不健康了。
when you have more money, sometimes the ideas in the family,
关系也不健康
the harmony within the family may not be as
最
good.
健康的家庭模式是
So what's a healthy
一月不做，
family model?
可能下月没食，就是这样。
It is actually that if you don't work now, next month you may not have any food.
我们就凭着我们的体力、能力打工吃饭，
So you work very hard every
使
month,
家庭的这种
but
幸
it
福
maintains
和和
a
谐的
happiness, a
这个气
simple
氛是最好的。
harmonious family because of this.
懂得理财和或比较就积极奋进的去
So the
工作
kids may be more hardworking
当一
instead.
旦过多了，
But when they have too much, when they have surplus for the children,
所以希望
they may
大
not
家呢
treasure it.
有一个知足的心，
So it's
还有
always
知足
important
感恩
to
的
have
心
a
对
contentment
人生。
and be
如
thankful.
果你喜欢我们讲的这个话题呢，这个里头可能还有很多细致的内容。
So if you like this topic, we actually have a broader,
如果大家
deeper
喜欢我们
insights
可
to
以
it.
再讲更
If you
深入
like
的
this
第二
topic, we can actually have a part 2 to
好吧。
this.
如果你喜欢的话呢，
If you
就
like
赶快留
this,
言，
just
说你
leave
喜
me
欢
a
我们讲哪
message
一个部分，
telling
我
me
可以侧重
which
讲
part
哪
would
个
you
部
like
分。
me to focus
好吧。
on, so
但
I
是
can
呢，跟我
actually
这里
talk
学
more
到的
about
东西
it.
呢，不一定是最好的
But
所
over
谓的
here,
投资的真正的
this
招
may not
数
be the
啊，
best
但是我尽
investment
量保
tips,
证你的是不亏钱，
but what I can guarantee is that you do not
不
lose
一定
money.
赢钱哈，但就是不亏。
You may not win money, but at least you
好，
do
那
not
我们
lose
下
money.
次直播的时间
So the next
是
live
下个周
broadcast
日哈，6月4号啊，那同一
will
时
be on
间
the 4th of
晚
June,
7
the
点。
same time, 7 o'clock.
好的，好，如果你喜欢这个与投资相关的，
So if you
或
like
者
this
是具体的内
topic
容，
related
还
to
有你有
investment
精彩的
tips,
故事，
or you
不
have
管是
any
成功的
interesting stories to
失败
share,
的，还是
regardless
受
of
教
whether
训
it can
的
be a
哈，欢
successful
迎你来
story
写
or the
信过来
very
哈。
unsuccessful
如果必要的
story.
话，我们进
I
行讨
welcome
论
you
和探
to
讨
write
哈，
in to
来
share.
给网友
You
们
can write
给提供
to
更多的
不想虚度 at gmail.com. You can write to us your personal experience and your
祝
stories
大家健
to
康
share with
长
us.
寿，
Wishing you
如
longevity,
意吉祥，
happiness, and
幸福
auspiciousness.
欢乐。我们下个周末再见。
I'll see you next weekend on the 6th, on the 4th of June, 7 p.m.
小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，了解生命的真理，修行的理义。因为有了你，日子犹如彩虹般美丽。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。我快乐了，我美丽了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有苦 小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自